Well, thank you guys for being here. I guess we should start with introducing everyone. We can just go like on a first name thing because I feel like we're all kind of acquainted a little bit now. But so we have Ellie, Letitia, Victoria, Nicholas, Kiana, and Winston. This is just going to be an open dialogue, open conversation, touching different topics and any questions that we might have specifically for Letitia and Ellie to answer. This is what they're here for. Ellie said that there's nothing that we can't touch, right?
Ask
Are you
away.
sure?
No,
Nothing's off the table.
Right.
everything.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, definitely address things. I think from just taxes, holy names, Stop and Shop, just different topics that maybe need to be cleared up, aired out. And I think the first thing we should start with is, are you guys running together? Are you just supporting each other? How is the campaign going in that regard?
So first of all, thank you very much for asking, and also thank you everyone for putting this together. I always find that it's so much better for the residents and the voters to hear directly from the candidates rather than reading the glossy material from you or about you, or depending upon who's writing it. So this is a good opportunity. I run alone. I've always run as an independent. But one thing I found out years ago on the council, and that is that you cannot get anything accomplished if you don't have the right people with you. So it doesn't matter how many great ideas somebody comes to the table with. If you can't work together with your colleagues, the residents of this town are the ones that end up losing. So as a result, I started looking at the field and saying, who is it that I feel I could work with? Who is it that has similar interests? Who is it that I feel, is respectful of the office, is respectful of the position, and is just not looking to come with a chip on their shoulder? There's some people that are running, and they're running to be against stuff. Nobody in this town can have good quality of life or better services by someone who's always against. Mm-hmm. You need to come up with ideas of how to make things better. Everybody knows where the problems are. Who are the ones that are, you don't need to have the professional problem finders. You need to have the ones that are going to be the problem solvers. So I actually met Letitia about 5 weeks ago. And I'll be honest with you, it's one of the best things that I've done. I've said it publicly, and I'm so impressed by her. First of all, I'm disappointed in myself. We live like 3 blocks away. We've both been in this town for our entire lives, and we've just been two ships in the night. Maybe we've crossed each other when I bought some Girl Scout cookies from her. but
for that cookie.
if I can for a minute, because I'm going to tell the voters what I've seen. She comes with such a great positive attitude, and she's been attacked during this campaign big time. She doesn't let it stop her. She doesn't let it derail her, and she focuses on what's important, and that is how to help the Teaneck residents, how to get elected so that she can have a seat at the table, so that she can really make an impact on the daily lives of every single resident. And she didn't just, like I said, she was born here, raised here, but she's been active in the schools and in all these other programs, and I'll let her speak for herself. I'm not going to speak for her, but from what I see. So I really enjoyed campaigning with her. So hopefully we get the desired results of both winning.
Right.
But the truth is, I feel like this is already a good boost and a good win to be able to meet Letitia and be able to walk around town together. And that's.
Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I agree. Like I said, we always neighbors right by each other, never once crossed paths, which is absurd. But the election brought us together. It was like, okay, I'm running, you're running. Where can we meet it in the middle? Because at the end of the day, either one of us are either both going to get on, or it's just common courtesy, like to meet your predecessors or to meet the current council staff. So it was a great conversation we had. We met at the Golden Girl Diner. We talked about our highs and our lows. What our outtake is on Teaneck, the things we want to see for Teaneck. Had a little competition with trivia on who knows Teaneck better.
Okay.
He's older. Just remember that. He's older, so he better win. He's got me by a couple decades, so he's older. No, it's not. Just one. But
Things were going great.
I was gonna say, you want to take back anything you said? No.
no, but like it was like a great conversation, a great dialogue, and the passion for both of us just is to see Teaneck win.
Yeah.
Like it, it doesn't matter, what went wrong and how we got there. We're here now. So what's the progress? How to get out of here and move forward? We see all the pieces, we see all the things we want to play, but how do we build it together to make it one completed project? And that's Teaneck winning. And so that's where we kind of met in the middle. Like, you know what? We both have that same desire, that same passion. Let's join up and do this together.
Thank you for inviting me here. I want to start off with the 8 years of no tax increase, which I do think is amazing. However, what I will say is that a lot of constituents and voters, they feel that even though there hasn't been an increase, they're still paying a lot in taxes. So is there a plan to maybe look towards, rather than keeping them the same, maybe looking towards decreasing the taxes over the next, 4 years?
So I have to be realistic, and I can't say that I could see a decrease. I know that our opponents will probably say, "Oh yeah, we're going to decrease taxes and give everyone money back," and say anything to get elected. But the reality is, as everyone knows from their own home, expenses are going up, right? And even trying to do 8 years in a row of a 0% on the municipal side was a very difficult task every single year. And we did have that little thing called the pandemic, which really hurt us as well. You think about the revenue that, and that's how it is. It is, there's only a certain amount of Teaneck pays taxes, or the residents pay taxes, and that's how we pay our bills. But there's other revenues that come in to the town, whether it's a hotel occupancy tax. Everyone who stays at the hotel, the Glen Point, and now the dual branded hotel across the street, they pay some money, and then we collect several $1 million over the years. All the development that's going on in town, besides the permit fee, which is not a $100 permit fee. When these people put up these buildings, they're $200,000-$300,000 in permits. Plus, there's the taxable rateable that it's created as well. The basic concept is, if we can have more people sharing the responsibility of having to pay the taxes, the less of a burden each individual resident has. If that makes sense? So, do I feel that taxes are very high in Teaneck? Yes. Do I feel that it should be our paramount responsibility to make sure that every single resident can afford to live in this town before we have fancy everything? Because I don't believe if we have the greatest parks or the greatest services, but we can't keep our residents in this town because it's too expensive, what good is it? So yes, I think that, and make no mistake, expenses has gone up, the budget has gone up, but because we're able to make more money in other ways than going and knocking on the door of the taxpayers, we're able to keep that at the 0%.
You've had a lot of experience with it, being a Girl Scout troop leader, as well as working with different places like Helping Hands Food Pantry, as well as Oasis Women's Shelter. I'm sure that that's been part of your experience, but what other experience would you say that you have that would make you fit to be on the council?
So I did go to college and graduate. I'm actually working finance. I've actually was the head of finance department for a jewelry company, e-retail management company. So I have experience with managing things, managing companies, managing budgets, managing people. So those type of environments have set me up, and also just being in corporate America for now almost 15 years. Those type of environments have given me a great stable stance on how to handle myself in different situations, how to read different documents, how to know what to expect on projects, and just how to deal with different situations and people. So I do have a very large experience background with service outside of like the Girl Scouts. I've done so much service with Habitat for Humanity. I've actually was a part of building 2 homes in Patterson. No pictures because the hammer was upside down one time, but it was a picture, and I was like, oh my god! But I did hammer the right way. But I've done some service. My family, we're working class America. My dad and my mom, they had a bodega, they had a gas station. They did gain some real estate throughout the years. So they're entrepreneurs. They did teach their children. They did tell their children, what it takes to have that American dream. So, that type of my family background, my educational background that my family helped me support me to get, and just as being an adult and servicing and having my own family and wanting to give back and pay it forward, I think those are great qualities that help me strengthen my background, strengthen my stance on being a councilwoman.
What college did you go to?
I actually, I was went to Bergen Community College, and then I transferred out of Bergen Community College when I graduated, and then from there I did online classes at University of Phoenix and graduated
Oh,
there,
wow.
and actually went to grad school also.
Nice.
For Councilman Katz, I know last year when everything was going on as far as getting the mural together for Philip Pennell and kind of to um, I guess show that Teaneck as a whole stands with all of its residents and kind of to emphasize the fact that what happened with Philip Pennell was not okay and that that's something that we don't want to see again in the town. I understand that at least on the record it said that you may have not agreed with certain things and you quoted as saying I will not support a mural that has Philip Pennell's name on it. So if you just want to kind of touch on why you had an issue with it, and if Letitia you want to talk on kind of how you felt as just a citizen at the time of Teaneck and how you felt about all of that.
So, just some background, I was actually at the riots. I was on the ambulance that night. I would have actually been on the ambulance call had it not been for Passover, but I used to ride on Tuesday nights with Dimitri, who was a member of the ambulance corps, who was actually on the scene. But I was on the next night, Wednesday night, when the riots happened. I will tell you this, and I said this publicly, but I know this is a very difficult and sensitive topic, and I'll try to speak from the heart. So I can't articulate, and I don't think anyone here can, the pain that the Pennells have and have been living with for the last 30-something years, with the loss of a child. I have actually myself a 16-year-old, so I'm very empathetic. Back to the mural. After the George Floyd tragedy, I don't know what it was, but I don't think there's anybody that could say that they weren't so bothered by what they saw, on how he had a knee on his neck, and that's when I felt, you know what, I don't know what's going on with this mural, but we have to get this mural, and we have to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Black community in Teaneck, and I said that publicly. It wasn't quoted, but we do have a responsibility to stand with our neighbors and make it very clear that this is not acceptable, and that this mural has to be there as a symbol that we do stand together as a community. I just realized that there were obstacles from different either members of the community or people that were part of the decision making that didn't want anything else on that mural, whatever their objection was. So I tried to take away any of the objections, any of the obstacles, and one of those obstacles was names. Where does it start? Where does it end? Whatever the reasons people had an objection, or people may think, oh, they objected because of one reason. Some people felt that they just wanted to move forward. They didn't want to rehash the past. Some people lived in this town, whatever the reason. And I got involved, and from the minute I got involved, I think it took about 2 or 3 weeks later, we got the mural. I wasn't the one who chose the location. I did donate money to the mural. The township donated paint to the mural. I was there with my daughter, actually painting. Actually, I think my son was there as well, painting, because I thought it was a very important teachable moment for my kids. So no, I was 1,000% in favor of the mural, but people like to look at what they didn't get, unfortunately, instead of what they did get. And they got the mural because I was strong, but also united the different sides. But unfortunately, that's not the way it was conveyed publicly. At the end of the day, everyone's like, oh, this is what Ellie Cat said. Yes, this is what Ellie Cat said, but this is why Ellie Cat said it, and this is what we got because of that. And it didn't take 7 months more from that time that I said what I said. I removed the obstacles to get it done. And that's, I'm not perfect, but one thing I'm very good at is figuring out how to get things done. And I thought the Black Lives Matter mural was a very important symbol that we needed in Teaneck, especially at that time.
Do you have any regrets on how you chose to handle the situation? And I guess I think there, to be candid, there is a large group of Teaneck. A lot of the Black residents feel like you maybe could have been a little more empathetic, or maybe if you were, it wasn't conveyed. Do you feel like maybe you could have shown a little more empathy if that's really how you were feeling? Do you understand why Black people might feel any type of animosity or hostility towards you because of how it was handled?
Can I just add to that question?
Yeah.
Because I think that what you're saying is that in the documentary Model America, when you were painting the mural in that scene, when they asked to hold the sign, I think because that definitely resonated with a lot of people, like, oh, he wouldn't hold the sign when they asked you to hold the sign and take the picture. So I think that's definitely something that you were referring to.
Looking back, especially if it hurt anyone's feelings, or if I did anything wrong, if asked, would I hold the Pinnell picture? Yeah, that's not. Listen, my heart goes out to the Pinnell family, both to Mrs. Pinnell and the daughter, especially after watching that video, and anything that I can do in my position, or even as a human being or as a person, to try to give them a little more comfort. And if that little more comfort meant just holding a picture, absolutely. I feel, like I said, I feel awful for them.
He was there, he was present, and that says a lot about him because there's there's a lot of council members, and he showed up and he helped, facilitate getting that mural on the ground and getting it executed.
Do you think some of the flack you're getting is because of your allegiance to Ellie?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Look,
or how do you feel about it?
Look, I'm loyal to a fault. It's not about sides, and for me, it's not about sides. I don't have, I've been told, oh, you're not one of us. So I've got the colorism on me because my last name is Garcia, but my mother is African American, my father is Latino, so I'm Black. So it is what it is.
Right.
I've gotten, oh, you're not from our side of town because I live by him, so you don't know what we go through versus, you guys have your suburban life over there. We're getting all the buildups. I've gotten so much craziness.
And how do you respond to it?
I ignore most of it. I talk about it with my husband, my best girlfriend. I've been to Ellie about it. I just try to push forward and try to realize that it's not about all the negativity. I'm stepping up and trying to do something to help all of us. So, you may not like me today. I may not have your vote today, but I will earn your trust, and I don't mind working for it.
I think, Winston, actually, it's good that you are not from Teaneck. I think it would be cool to get an outside perspective maybe on what your perception of Teaneck is, and maybe, I know you were talking about possibly moving over here, so what attracts you?
I'm trying to find some residents in Teaneck.
Well, I was going to say, so is there any questions you have about that, or what attracts you here, or is there anything that pops out to you in that
The one
aspect?
thing that's always been a big thing about Teaneck for me, it was always, streets is clean, people are nice, how can you say you gotta understand, coming from Patterson, it's a different environment.
Right.
The municipal police, they respond well,
People take that for granted.
yes, they respond well, put it like that. Everything that's been, yes, so everything in Teaneck for me, when I come here, it's on the up and up, so on a out, like I said, like you said, on the outside perspective, I would love to move to Teaneck. You coming from where I'm coming from, of course, it ain't no high rise, too much buildings unless it's I want to say a hospital, which I know you got something very much so helping to try to keep that going.
Yeah.
Q, actually, did you want to touch on the Holy Name Hospital and
I do, but I also wanted to touch on because especially too we were talking about how food unites us, and a lot of people might not know that you were the one who started the food pantry in Teaneck. And I think that's an incredible resource to have because you know how we were saying before, we're trying to keep Teaneck an affordable place for everybody. And the reality of it is, you know, we all have our different struggles. And I have volunteered with different organizations, even like Oasis, where we're just giving food to people, and just the act of feeding people, how much it means to people, and how you know we unite over food. Like, can you elaborate on why it was important for you to make sure Teaneck had that resource, especially since people consider us an affluent community, you know?
So you're right. In 2008, when the world fell apart, I partnered with Reverend Mays, um, and we started a food pantry here in town. We service about 100 to 110 families a week. For the last 12 years, I was the voice of the pantry, where my phone number was what was listed on websites. Um, to the point where sometimes I call people from my cell phone and they're like, "Why is it Teaneck Food Pantry calling me?" No, no, it's Ellie. Um, but so I got to hear, unfortunately, the trials and tribulations or the struggles that our residents were going through. Even though they may pull up in a fancy car, that was their yesterday life. Today's life, they unfortunately need the services of the food pantry. And it's not something that I really boast about as far as, I know I'm a politician, I'm supposed to boast more. I do put it on my literature now as far as what I've done, but it's more to be sensitive to the residents that use it to make sure that I preserve their dignity, that I'm not taking, taking advantage of the food pantry. I mean, I started it, I funded a lot of it. We have an unbelievable team that runs it right now, volunteers. We've sadly lost our head volunteer, which was Janice Purcell, during COVID. She was one of our first COVID losses, at a very young age. Um, but with that said, I'm very proud of it, and I'll continue to help support it, and as long as I can. My goal is for us to be out of business, but unfortunately, that goal is not being realized because people need food in this town. Even though you would think that Teaneck's such a wealthy community, Teaneck has ba- all different types of backgrounds and social classes, unfortunately or fortunately, and the pantry is too heavily used.
To kind of stay on the food topic, I think talking about Stop and Shop, I think there's a lot of back and forth about Stop and Shop, whether it's staying in Teaneck. I know there's people who want it, some people who don't. What are you guys' stance on it? How do you feel about it?
So we had a plethora of supermarkets. You can shop anywhere. That Sunday Record had all the circulatories. You can take your coupons. You can go wherever you wanted. We now have one supermarket. So if you don't drive, where are we going? Not everyone can use electronics to order their food on Amazon or order their food on, Instacart or whatever.
So it's safe to say you want to keep Stop and Shop.
We need a supermarket.
But it's more than just keeping it. By the way, everybody has these ideas like the magic wand. We want to keep the supermarket. The Stop and Shop was built, and if you think about the formats of the different supermarkets today, it's either too small for the big supermarkets that are out there, right? The ShopRite in Englewood just expanded, and all these other ones are right. They're expanding, or it's too big for the smaller format stores, right? The Trader Joe's can't all these, right? There's two, so it's really stuck in the middle. And when corporate was looking at this, I don't know, the messages that we heard was that weren't sure if the lease was going to be renewed, and we needed to do something to help that. So we took a proactive approach, and at the same time, Cedar Lane needs parking. In order to properly prepare Cedar Lane so that it could be revitalized, you need to have parking there. So we worked together, and we're trying to come up with a public-private partnership where Stop and Shop can get expanded, where we can get more parking there, um, and at the same time put some residents there so that they could shop Cedar Lane and shop Stop and Shop. The idea is not fully baked yet. The residents are gonna our current Teaneck residents are gonna have a lot of input into this, but the fact that we are taking the political position of we need to do this, rather than just running away from this, this is proper planning. This is good government, and that's what we're doing. We're not waiting to find out that Stop and Shop moved out of town. Okay, we don't need any more surprises. We're taking the approach of let's make sure that they will stay in town. Let's work together with them as a partner.
I was just going to switch gears a little bit. I had a question. In speaking with some of the constituents and some of the citizens, I know that you've worked on this new DPW, which is 100% amazing and things like that. But also, there isn't. I know some other towns they have like garbage that comes through. That's basically done by the town. Is there any reason why specifically Teaneck doesn't have that? Is there thoughts about doing that? Just to touch on that topic.
Garbage.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
That has definitely been an issue.
Why don't we?
But I will tell you this, that first, obviously this is way before my time.
Yeah.
But I do know that Teaneck negotiated also before my time with the different private haulers a very favorable rate for our Teaneck residents. I will say that I do get complaints about the fact that it's not rolled into the taxes. And also, Teaneck doesn't physically have a place in order to be able to keep this garbage. Like our DPW facility needs an enhancing, and needs more than just an enhancing. It needs to be modernized. It needs to, our fire trucks are so big, some of them don't even fit into the garages. And you have our hardworking employees on their backs in the wintertime servicing these vehicles, which is crazy. So, we do need that, and that is one of the areas that I'm going to focus on if I get reelected, is that we do need a new DPW facility.
To close out, I think this was a great conversation. I think for people who are going to see this, they'll be able to get to know you guys a little bit more. I think you guys asked great questions. I think that was amazing. But I hope that people get to look at this and a little objectively and get to see you guys a little more in depth and not be so quick to attack, right?
Yeah.
Not be so quick to attack you guys. And I hope to continue
At
these
least
type of
now they
conversations.
know why they don't like me.
Right. At least give them some reason. Let's give them some reasons, But I think it was great. Do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add, like, I hope in the same too, like that people see you, and especially like you said, outside of their comfort zone. Because it's easy to align yourself with people where we have the same considerations, we have the same cultures, but I love that you get the culture shock where you see somebody who doesn't look like you, who doesn't worship at the same place as you, but you still come together. And you're like, wow, I didn't think you would have thought like that. But it's because you're coming out of your own comfort zone of thinking of. So I like that. You ask great questions too. So.
Well, I'm just like amazing. I know. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you all you for being here. And it was great. And definitely. I think Ellie and I both. This is definitely out of our comfort zone. Joining up together. We said we didn't know each other.
She ate in my sukkah.
Yeah, I did.
Oh wow!
And it was,
so that's an example of what I'm
It
saying. Like that's what I'm talking about.
I'm jealous.
Dessert was amazing. I don't even know what was it called. I don't know what that was. What the apples and the
I
cranberries.
don't know. My son made it.
It was just amazing. I think I
All I
was
know
like
is we
straight from
tried
the
to
bottom.
figure out how to get your daughter out of school for the next
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Like,
He was like deputy mayor's writing a note.
Yeah.
Talk about collusion. We're gonna add that to the list.
Yeah, we cut that one out.
All right.
I think it's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.